Hi, this is Mashnu, and here is a game from round 5 of the Chess Olympiad in Istanbul. This time it's a game that was played between a player from Honduras and a player from Wales. It shows very well, just as the previous video from round 4, the difference between a titled player and an amateur. The player from Honduras, his name is Elvis Hernandez Reyes, and he doesn't have a FIDE rating, and his opponent is a chess master from Wales. His name is Yolo Jones, rated 2243, playing with black pieces. So let's have a look at the game. It's very instructive to see this difference in approach. So the Honduran player opens with e4, e5, knight f3, knight f6, the Petrov defense, also known as the Russian defense, bishop to c4, knight takes e4, and here a quite unusual move by white, the move d3. Now normally here the most common move is to play knight to c3 here, and then the main line goes further with knight to c6, knight takes e4, now d5, forking the bishop and the knight on e4, and after bishop d3, d takes e4, bishop takes e4, and with bishop to d6 the pawn on e5 is supported once more. And the interesting thing about this line is that the pawn structure becomes not symmetrical like in the game. In the game, I'll go back to that moment, after d3, knight f6, knight takes e5, we have a symmetrical pawn structure, which, well, mostly it's then more difficult to find ways to get an advantage if the pawn structure is symmetrical. There is less imbalance. So d5 played now by black. The bishop goes to b3, bishop to d6, attacking the knight on e5, knight now he plays d4 here, so he doesn't retreat the knight, and actually white already has lost the tempo now by playing d3 and d4 later, because if we count the amount of developed pieces, we can say that white and black both have developed two light pieces and have a pawn in the center, but it's not white to move now, it's black to move. So in fact the advantage of having the first move is already disappeared. So black has now at least equality. Castle kingside, now black plays h6, preventing any bishop to g5, and here knight to c3 by white. On superficially seen, we can say that this is a good way to develop a piece attacking the d5 pawn, but actually this move, knight to c3, blocks the c pawn, and after c6 this bishop on b3 is already very inactive. So now white would like very much to be able to play, for example, c3 and bishop c2 to activate the bishop on this diagonal, or to play c4 perhaps, but that's now impossible because of this knight to c3 move. White continued here with f4, again a move that looks at first sight very active, but actually is blocking his own bishop now, his own development, and perhaps even more important, weakening the e4 square. Now black makes use of that immediately by playing bishop to f5, controlling e4. Rook to f3 by white. This is kind of crazy idea of trying to attack with only a rook on the king side. Black plays a5, threatening to trap the bishop with a4, so a3 is forced. Now knight b to d7, developing the last light piece, and white continued with rook to g3 now. Now this rook will never be able to start an attack on the king side without the support of light pieces, and if we look at the light pieces of white, this bishop is doing nothing and this knight has nowhere to go at the moment. So this one is being blocked by his own pawn. This pawn cannot advance to f5, so in fact we can say that the only active pieces of white are the knight and the rook on g3, and that's of course not enough to start an attack. Now rook to e8, bishop to e3, knight to f8. We will soon see what the idea is behind this. Queen to d2, white tries to bring the other rook into play. Now knight to g6, rook to f3. The rook has nothing to do on g3, goes back to f3. Now knight to h4, attacking the rook. The rook goes to f2, and the other knight goes to g4 now. So the knight from g4 attacking the rook on f2, attacking the bishop on e3, and the knight on e5. Actually the knight on e5 is the only well placed piece by white, and here after rook to e2, black exchanges one light piece on e3, and after rook takes e3 plays f6, so this only well placed piece of white is being chased away from there. It goes to f3, and there it's traded for the knight on h4. Knight takes f3, rook takes f3. If we look and evaluate this position now, we can see that black has achieved the bishop's pair, and these two bishops are so much more well placed than these two light pieces of white. The game continues now with queen to c7, h3, wanting to play g4 probably. Now black moves the bishop to g6, rook a to f1, queen to e7. With queen to e7, black actually prevents white from any action on the e file, on the open file, because now white cannot play a rook to e3, nor a rook to e1, nor a queen to e2, because these two heavy pieces are controlling these three squares, e1, e2 and e3 completely. Now to try something on this e line, e file, white moved a bit of strange move. He places king to f2. Black plays bishop to c7, and now white continues with knight to d1, perhaps preparing knight to e3 or rook to e3, something like that, but it's actually too late for that, because black plays bishop to e4, blocking this e file, attacking the rook on f3. The rook goes once more to g3. Black attacks the bishop on b3 by playing a4, bishop to a2, and now he plays b5, preventing any possible c4. So as you can see, the strategy of chess master Jones playing black is not only placing his own pieces on very active and important squares, but also preventing counterplay constantly. Now king to g1 was played, king to h8, bringing the king out of the g file, c3, queen to d6. Black is not in a hurry in starting any attack, but it's just slowly improving his position more and more. Now rook to g4 and f5, attacking the rook. The rook goes to h4 now, and now the bishop goes from c7 to d8, attacking the rook. The rook goes to h5, and now queen to g6 attacks this rook that has started a strange adventure, and now it's going to be lost. White defends the rook with queen to e2, but there is here a tactical way to win material. Black plays bishop to b1. This covered attack on the queen on e2 by the rook on e8, and the bishop on a2 is attacked as well. So here queen to f3, and then bishop takes a2, and black has won the full piece. In fact, white could have resigned here, but he continued playing. He played knight to e3 here, and here we see the theme of overloading. The queen on f3 is overloaded. It does too many tasks. It must defend the rook on h5, and it must also defend the knight on e3. He cannot continue doing these two things at the same time after rook takes e3. if white would take the rook, then queen takes h5. Instead of that, white took on h6 with check, g takes, and then queen takes e3. So now black is 2 pieces ahead, and this is, well, I'll go quite fast now through the rest of the game because it becomes a bit embarrassing that white didn't resign earlier. So this is how the game continued. Black controlling actually the whole board, controlling the open file, controlling the g file, actually everything, and these 2 very active bishops doing an excellent job. F takes g4, h takes g4, and a rook e1 check, king goes to g2, queen to e4, forcing the trade of queens, and after queen takes e4, d takes e4, at this point white resigned here. So that's the game of today, and different important things here. One, the way that white handles the opening, going towards a symmetrical pawn structure instead of trying to unbalance the position, losing the tempo with d3, d4, and the later actually not paying enough attention at a long-term strategy, so developing his own light pieces to square where they don't work together and where they're not active enough. If we go, for example, to this point after f4, we can already see that these 2 light pieces are very badly developed, and black develops in a very healthy way. Well, I hope you found this an interesting game to watch, and I'll see you next time on YouTube. Goodbye.